One of the biggest problems in the environment is there's so many tires, and we're trying to address that tire problem with a very unique solution that turns those tires into an electricity source.
This works for this coffee cup right here. It's just a different yield. It's something that should be available to everyone, and obviously to the Bitcoin blockchain for an energy source.
The Bitcoin mining process actually generates heat for which we can dry the plastics before they go into the vessel. Plastics, or the tires that go into the vessel, create diesel. The diesel goes into the barge and it fuels the barge. The propane that's released from those materials then fires up the generator. Actually, the end result is Bitcoin. It becomes a perpetual motion machine that's fed by Bitcoin.
We have these resources we've already stripped the precious world of, and have done a terrible job in making something that is sustainable and closed loop to make sense. You know, when you see pollution and you see different things going on, it's quite disturbing to see, you know, how many microplastics exist in these fish and everything else. We can use what already exists as opposed to taking something new or taking something away from someone else. You know, it's a great opportunity for that.
I'm Dan Kaler. I am Chief Mining Officer for Kratos Digital Mining, and we are the mining branch of Trend Discovery, who does a lot in renewable energy projects. So this is a very unique process, and it's a phenomenal idea, and we're here to put it into prototype scale and get real actionable results so that we can start taking it large scale and getting creative, looking at options for stranded gas that gas head owners are still having to pay to maintain. We can go in there and help them consume and streamline their operation while monetizing the gas that they can't do anything with, and stabilizing the blockchain and creating jobs. And most people just don't know that this type of process even exists.
We believe if we can address this tire issue, not only does it address landfill and waste, but it also creates an electricity stream that can fulfill the needs of our growing electrical demand in this country.
My name is Adam Broston, and I'm a third generation in auto recycling. This was something that my grandfather had started working on quite some time ago. When he got out of the war, he tried to see, you know, how many tires he could get because he wanted to be able to sell them. Towards the end of his life, we mainly talked about how to get rid of tires. The need at this point is, how do we deal with these tires, which was still the same need I was speaking with my grandpa about, you know, throughout his life. We're paying disposal fee to get rid of these tires, but it's not like it's being recycled. They're cherry picking the steel, and then the can gets kicked down the road. This breaks things back down to original byproducts, and it does it in a manner that is sustainable and at a lower temperature parameter.
The process here is pretty simple. We take our feedstock, and whether that's produced yourself or brought in, it's just tire shreds. Steel taken out. You take your tire shreds, and we come in and we load up this hopper here. When the machine is running, it's going to be operating this conveyor to bring it up to the top of the canister and drop it in sequence as programmed and as the machine is requiring the new inputs. Once it drops into the canister, it's going to start the process of separating all the base materials into the offputs and essentially run through a series of these valves and tubes and separate your different materials. So your industrial rubber product is going to be coming down out of that bottom spigot and run through the pumps and get offput into barrels or a tank to be taken away with a truck. Some of your other materials, like the vaporous gases, are going to be coming out up here. Some of your diesel fuel is going to be coming out and run through the pumps, the compressors, the cooling units to become a usable byproduct. As we come over here, we can show you what some of this clean industrial rubber offtake looks like. That is just a pure reusable rubber product out of the tires. The gases that come out in the aerosolized state, they'll run through the condenser, they'll cool off, and then come down into the liquid separator, where you will have your diesel mixture and your gas mixture run through a series of pipes, and then we come outside of the building here. So through these pipes here, you get your gas flow. The aerosolized gas is going to come through the compressor unit that then can go into the propane tank. And from that propane tank, it's going to connect to one of the generators in the back and start generating power. This entire facility will be able to run on the aerosolized gas output, as well as running our small little test Bitcoin mine here. If you focus on just tires, you get the recycled steel, you get the aerosolized gas, the diesel gas, and the rubber. So you get all four elements from tires themselves, and that has substantial opportunity for power generation. At that point, the only output that you have as far as a waste or environmental impact is what your generator puts off. And there are so many very efficient, carbon effective, and filtered generators now that's negligible output. And when you can start generating megawatts to hundreds of megawatts of power off of garbage that people are having to store in landfills or dump in the ocean, we can save all of that.
This works for this coffee cup right here. It's just a different yield. You don't receive a rubber, you get an off gas and a lighter sweet crude. By doing this with tires, we're solving a major issue, but that also will allow us to generate the ability to go out and focus on these other issues that exist, such as the great garbage patch of plastic and different things such as that, where you could have belt-fed conveyors on a tanker vessel and be doing this process at sea in a confined space and cleaning things up. We're trying to make things right the best we can. So, and this takes a lot of different people and a lot of different perspectives to make that happen. So that's one thing that we have been truly blessed with, in having the ability to have some really, really bright people work on this, because it's something that should be available to everyone, and obviously to the Bitcoin blockchain for an energy source.
The Bitcoin mining process actually generates heat for which we can dry the plastics before they go into the vessel. Plastics, or the tires that go into the vessel, create diesel. The diesel goes into the barge and it fuels the barge. The propane that's released from those materials then fires up the generator. And all of that closed loop positive creation economy, actually the end result is Bitcoin, right? And that Bitcoin can be liquidated and pay to continue to flow this feedstock inbound into our process. Once we have the machine running from the feedstocks we collected, it becomes a perpetual motion machine that's fed by Bitcoin, right?
I want to see this project reduce energy costs, reduce emissions, and landfill waste, and what we deem is a no longer viable or valuable offput. We've got so much garbage in this world that doesn't need to be there. It can be mitigated, and we can cleanly and effectively utilize it to power this next generation. I know a lot of politicians are out there and they're of the mindset that consuming energy is bad. And I don't believe that. Producing energy in the most positive, effective, economically and environmentally viable way is the path forward.